Good morning, world.
Good morning, and welcome to a brand new month. We are now in the month of March.
Oh, hey, we're not in Black History Month anymore. The shortest month of the year, by the way. Why are you mad at me? That's your joke.
Exactly, that's my joke. It's funny if I say it. It's not funny if you say it.
That's sensitive.
We're going to be talking about that and other nonsense. Stay tuned. I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian. Bad, man. Are you really mad at me?
No, I'm not mad at you.
He looked serious, though, didn't he?
Brian's a good sport. Brian did that reluctantly because I said, hey, this would be a good opening to point out what's our favorite word? Hypocrisy. For those of you who don't know, it was in Sacramento, and it was a terrible thing that happened, actually. They went to a school, and I will tell you the name of the school later, but there was two water fountains, and above one was written the word colored, and above the other one was written the word white. Outrage. Passion, indignation. The superintendent said, we want this person's head on a platter. Bring them to me. It was terrible.
Were they prepared? Were they prepared for that kind of outrage in that Sacramento school?
You gotta be prepared. Do you have enough food, water, and other essentials to get you through tough times? If not, check out My Patriot Supply. They're the nation's #1 preparedness company, and they've served millions of American families just like yours. Right now, you can save 25% off their popular 4-week emergency food kit, which will keep you well fed for 4 weeks worth of breakfast, lunch, dinner, drinks, and snacks, totaling over 2,000 calories a day. This food stays fresh for up to 25 years in proper storage, so it will be there when you need it. In fact, you may need it a lot sooner than that.
So don't wait. Go to www.preparewithcedricandbrian.com. That's www.preparewithcedricandbrian.com. I think I just spit.
Oh, that's all right. I don't know if you want to say this for later. Aunt Jemima, speaking of being prepared, Aunt Jemima is now gone.
There's no Aunt Jemima on
And
there.
racial tension is down because now it is Pearl Milling Company. So now racial tension is decreasing now because of pancake syrup.
That and Uncle Ben, right?
Yeah, I think Uncle Ben's still around.
Really?
They should change his name to Uncle Tom. That would go over well. All right, we have two stories today. One is about the graffiti at the school in Sacramento, and we're also going to talk about the president's new SCOTUS hire. But first and foremost, let's talk about what happened at the school. So you know about this story.
Yeah, so like Cedric was saying, the superintendent, the principal, everybody, they did not want this injustice to go on. They need to stamp out racism wherever it is, and we're going backwards. We're going backwards, and Cedric and I talk about this all the time. We're going backwards by this segregation. So people came out and they saw whites and coloreds. And if for those of you that are young, they used to have that back in the South. There would be a drinking fountain for whites and a drinking fountain and they used the word colored back
What
then.
you think about it, it was really just a psychological play, because if you look at those old black and white grainy pictures, the black water fountain, the colored water fountain was really just right next to the white water fountain. They're right next to each other. So using the same pipe for the same water, but it was just a psychological ploy to make sure that coloreds knew their place in the pecking order.
And then, like always, we got rid of the term colored because that was offensive. But now we have people of color.
People of color. Just flip-flopped it around, turned it around.
And we talked about this before. They're basically setting up a binary system, which is always dangerous. So instead of, whites, Hispanics, Asians, blacks, all that, it's whites and everybody else.
Everybody else.
Because it's time to gang up on whitey. Yeah.
But then back to our opening, the joke that I told. And I've known Brian for 20 years. I tell that joke every February. He has it every February at this time of the year. And it's still funny. I mean, Black History Month, I don't celebrate it anyway because I believe that Black history is American history. So why don't we just incorporate it all and do that? But you guys have all heard the joke that February is the shortest month of the year. Let's give it to them. Why is that joke funny when I say it, but it's not funny when Brian says it?
It was funny.
Yeah, I was like, your delivery is terrible. So that's why it wasn't funny.
Well, I had to say your joke. So.
Right.
But then I heard, isn't it? Somebody just told us, though, it was because it's Abraham Lincoln's birthday.
Abraham Lincoln's birthday was in February.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that they think that might be why. Not because it's the shortest month, Cedric.
Well,
because it was Abraham Lincoln's birthday.
Well, people say the reason that happened because Abraham Lincoln tied one on in the month of February and got really drunk. And when he woke up, he goes, "I freed who?" So that's part of that joke.
Anyways, let's get back to the punchline of the story we were talking about. So after all this outrage and indignation, come to find out that there's video because they found the perpetrator of the graffiti with the whites and coloreds.
Yeah. And keep in mind, they're angry. They're going to this angry, upset. They want this person's head.
They want
Bring
this
him to me.
white racist head on a platter.
Yep.
They found the person.
Yeah. It was a black female. All of a sudden, all that tension that was up here came down drastically. And we're going to look at a few videos of some of the activists in the area who said, basically, they flipped the script like we did with Brian's joke. They said, well, maybe we should take a look and see why this young person did that. Maybe there was a reason for it. Let's not go after them so hard immediately.
I don't believe that those words that were on those water fountains were racist. I do not believe they were hate crime or hate speech. Part of it, quite honestly, is because the admitted perpetrator is an African-American young woman.
He said it right there. I don't believe it was hate speech because, one, it's the old skin game, it's the color game. It would have been hate speech if someone with Brian's complexion said it. It's not hate speech if someone with my complexion says it. And the fact that he had the nerve to say it out loud, I don't believe it's hate speech because it's an African woman. So that makes a difference.
That's your favorite, our word again, hypocrisy.
Oh my goodness. And this guy that's coming up, he kind of refutes what this guy in the fedora hat says. So let's keep playing this video.
Kind of looking like you and the other day when you had your fedora on.
I know.
I disagree at it being a hate crime because at the end of the day, we understand when you have colored on one water faucet and white on another kind of water faucet, what that means. Whether it's 1950 or 2022.
So this guy kind of refutes what the other guy says. He goes, it's a hate crime, but they want to be a little passive with this young lady. They want to use it as a teaching moment, say, hey, what you did was wrong. Let's spank you on the hand. Don't do that again.
Well, it goes back to what they say, though. Only whites can be racist.
Right.
So it fits the narrative. So if, I don't even know what the term to use now. I'm going to use black if anybody's mad at me. So the black student, she did it, but since she was black, of course it's not racist.
Right. So this happened at McClatchy High School in Sacramento. And the hypocrisy is the thing that Brian and I keep talking about. For those of you who don't remember the story, it's been washed away a long time ago, but it proves a point. That's why I'm going to use it now. LeBron James, forward for the Los Angeles Lakers, lives here in Los Angeles County, and his home was vandalized. Someone wrote the N-word on his gate. Same thing happened. People were in outrage. LeBron was in outrage. He was saying how terrible it is to be a black man in here today in America, even though you're rich and you're well-known and you're wealthy. And all of a sudden, that story just went away. My guess is because no one came out and said anything. My guess is because they found out it was a person of color that tagged the building. And that's why it went away. The Waukesha, Wisconsin motorists that mowed down the children. For a long time, the mainstream media would not use the person's name. Brian and I didn't use it because we didn't want to give credit to him and put his name out there. But we all know, had it been, say, a Kyle Rittenhouse, that name would have been plastered 24/7 on the news on the news wire. But because it was a black individual, they didn't say anything, and they had the nerve to say that it actually wasn't a person operating the vehicle. The car drove itself. For those of you who are old enough to remember Herbie the Love Bug and Christine the Car, those cars worked by themselves, or maybe it was what's the guy, the Transformer? It works by himself. Jussie Smollett, he was a victim because he was suffering so much stress and anxiety from being a black person. That's why he faked that hate crime. My biggest problem is that if you're going to treat one group of people one way, it has to be equitable, and you have to treat the other group of people the same way. You can't get a pass for a hate crime because you're a person of color.
You know who's coming up with this playbook? Putin.
Yeah.
He went to Ukraine and he said because he wants to get rid of the Nazis there.
Yeah.
I think one of the head guys in Ukraine is Jewish.
That's incredible.
But it doesn't really matter. It's just like, you can't be racist, only I can be racist.
Yeah.
It's just that playbook. So, we're teaching the world here.
Yeah. And I was talking to some family members about the whole Kyle Rittenhouse thing. It's like, well, how can he be a racist when his supposed victims were white? So how is he a racist? But they said, someone told me that, well, Kyle just benefited from his white privilege. I'm like, well, white privilege didn't help the 3 guys that were shot. So how can you say that?
They can contort themselves into all kinds of acrobatics to make anything fit the narrative.
Yeah.
And this story, when it came out, I go, Cedric, we got to do this because you saw all the outrage, and then it's like all of a sudden, oops, wasn't a white guy.
Well, my thing is, if they're going to take this young black woman and they're going to use it as a teaching moment for her, why can't you adopt that same philosophy if it turns out to be a white kid that did it? It's like, hey, you know what you said was wrong. Let's take you to the side. Let's talk to you about it. And then we'll send you back out into the general public. But instead, if it's a white person, off with their head.
But take the racism away from it. I think what this young girl is learning is she's looking at the university and saying, look, they're having black graduations and white graduations. So that must be the way we're supposed to go. So maybe she just thought, I'm going to make 2 different drinking fountains because that seems to be the way the world's going. Because we're regressing.
Well, she does have one comment I have to find. She said when she got caught, she said it was a joke that went sideways.
What was the joke?
She decided it'd be funny to write colored over one water fountain and write white on the other. And she said it was just a joke that went sideways. She goes, we talked about this before we started filming. She said, my bad.
Right.
I made a mistake.
Yeah. And in pre-2020, you could have probably got away with that joke.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because people would have just said, okay, that's funny. But now, the way everything's been twisted, now it's going to get blown out of proportion.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's like, I just want him to be treated differently. But then, like, poor Kyle Rittenhouse. And then we talked about on our video, Joe Rogan, that he had to apologize for not even using racial terminology, but repeating what someone else had said. And the left just went crazy on him and said, oh, you're a racist, we got to have you deplatformed. And we all know the real reason behind that was because he was speaking the truth about COVID and things that were working and things that weren't working. So they couldn't attack him on that. So he said, well, let's make up this whole racial thing to get him deplatformed that way.
Yeah. He wasn't given into their narrative. So.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. You guys check out that story for yourself. But I want to talk a little bit about Ketanji Brown. If you guys haven't heard.
Wait, is her last name really Brown?
Yeah.
It's not Claire Brown.
No, it's not Claire Brown.
Oh, they picked the wrong Brown.
And I don't know. Maybe it's a situation where, Joe sometimes he puts out his little index cards. Maybe he picked the wrong Brown and said, pick Ketanji.
I didn't know her last name was Brown, so that just cracks me up.
Yeah.
Because we kind of just came up with... I'm sorry. Claire. We just kind of met Claire Brown.
Well, technically it's Ketanji Brown Jackson.
Okay.
But like I said before, maybe Joe just saw Brown. He meant to pick Claire Brown, but he picked Ketanji Brown. But here it is. And Brian,
I had a question, just a little sidetrack here.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, remember how we did that episode? If you go back and look, we did an episode on will picking the wrong name affect your child?
Right.
The most successful Jackson was Michael and Janet. Very vanilla names.
Yes, Michael, Janet.
Tito and Jermaine. They just weren't as popular. So is it the name or was it the talent?
I don't know. I think Michael and Janet were one and the same.
I just thought that was interesting. I was looking at the list of the Jackson 5, more than Jackson 5, but the Jackson brothers, and I thought, that reminds me of an episode we did. Anyways,
Michael.
Go back and watch that.
But it's and here's the thing. Me and Brian, we didn't brief about this before we started filming. We just hit the record button and we started talking. Watching Ketanji Brown as President Biden introduced her, she impressed me. Yeah. And so she impressed me a lot more than the vice president, to be honest with you, which isn't hard to do.
Now, do you think, beating this, I'm going to keep ringing this one out for all it's worth, do you think he also, because remember he said he was going to pick a black woman, female. Mm-hmm. Do you think he picked somebody with the name Ketanji because right off the bat that it's probably not a white person?
Could be. Could be.
He wanted to really go for it.
Yeah, but if you check out her credentials,
were they better than Claire's?
I don't know. Claire's pretty strong. I don't know. We need to talk to Claire. But Ketanji, I think she graduated from Harvard back in '92, and then she went to Harvard Law School, graduated from there in '96. She's been on a judge for like 9+ years now. She's very accomplished. The thing that bothers me and sticks in my craw, and this is where people get mad. So if anybody who doesn't really watch our channel get mad at me and call me a sellout because I'm actually picked a black woman, I would have felt better if Biden just picked her and said, "Here is the best candidate. But the fact that he predicated everything with, I am going to pick a black female, just ruined it for me.
Joe, just pick the person, and if that person happens to be a black woman, then great, you're going to get all the credit for it. But by putting it out there, you just offered yourself up.
And this is irritating me because it's a Hail Mary for Joe Biden's administration. We've talked about it before. The elections are coming up in November. This was a Hail Mary, and it's pandering to blacks because Joe is losing not only the black vote, but the Latin vote and every other minority vote that's out there. And so he's like, I got to do something to get these people back into the fold. So he says, I'm going to help you guys out because, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black.
Yeah.
And so he has to do something now to bring back in the fold because people are starting to look at this and say, I'm not happy with this administration.
Bottom line, he was going to pick, it doesn't really matter because he was going to pick a liberal judge regardless because he's going to replace a liberal judge with a liberal judge.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if this person was a woman or black. When they're on the Supreme Court, they're going to make all their judgments fitting one narrative. It's just fit, like he said, he's pandering, and that's the only reason that he picked a black woman.
Yeah, and it's avoiding the real issues. If you haven't heard, there's some stuff going on with Russia and Ukraine. There's a lot going on with that. And I shouldn't say blacks, but a lot of blacks are concerned about homelessness and crime and school choice. These are some of the real issues. Who's serving on the Supreme Court really isn't a huge issue. We just want someone who's going to do right by the American people. Right. Whether you're white, black, Asian, Indian, Hispanic, whatever it is, just do right by everyone.
Man, we just want somebody who actually follows the Constitution. And unfortunately, some of the people that were appointed by Democrats, they just kind of bend the Constitution to whatever fits. So
right. But do you want to meet her? Because she had a great opening dialogue when President Biden introduced her. So, and here's the thing. The reason she's very likable. Whether or not she can do the job where she's qualified, I don't know. And don't get mad at me. I'm not saying she can't do the job. It's just that I don't know. I haven't done enough research on her. I hope she can. But this is an introduction video that Brian's going to play right now.
Truly humbled by the extraordinary honor of this nomination. And I am especially grateful for the care that you have taken in discharging your constitutional duty in service of our...
Her wig's much better than Claire's.
So you better stop dogging Claire. Claire's awesome. I shouldn't have stopped it, but I'm just like, the hypocrisy is like, Joe is maskless, but Kamala's wearing a mask.
Yeah, why?
Because COVID only goes toward the left of the individual and not to the right?
No, he's using his white privilege.
Oh, that's right.
You didn't catch that.
I'm sorry.
You didn't catch that.
Democracy with all that is going on in the world today. I also offer my sincerest thanks to you as
Actually, they just know we didn't want to see Kamala's face.
That's wrong.
well, Madam Vice President, for your invaluable role in this nomination process. I must begin these very brief remarks by thanking God for delivering me to this point in my professional journey. My life has...
Pandering to the Christians there.
Pandering to the Christians. She's good.
She brought up God because she knows that the Democrats are losing most of the religious people.
Yeah. Yeah.
You want me to keep going?
Well, I think Kamala wearing the mask, you heard that Joy Behar has said she's going to wear a mask indefinitely now.
Oh, thank God. Too bad. Why won't she wear it on the show, though? She's in a room, tight quarters with what, 7 other women or whatever it is?
Muzzle
has
be better.
been blessed beyond measure, and I do know that one can only come this far by faith. Among my many blessings, and indeed the very first, is the fact that I was born in this great country. The United States of America is the greatest beacon of hope and democracy the world has ever...
Oh, you know that the AOCs and everything are like, oh, crap, she sounds too patriotic to be one of us.
And I hope everyone should be an individual, but she kind of has a Winsome Sears vibe to her. Country. Yeah, I know I'm a black woman, but I'm not going to use that on my platform. This is America. And I don't have white privilege, I don't have black privilege, I don't have female privilege. I have American privilege or hard work privilege.
Right.
And I hope she stays with that.
Yeah, it could just be this was scripted for her so that it would bring people together. But like I said, she's going to rule liberal. That's just what she's going to do.
Okay, now we're going to take a look at a comment. We guys keep sending your comments in to us, and we are still waiting for those video comments. Send it to cedricandbrian@gmail.com. 15 seconds, 45 seconds. Just, hey, Cedric and Brian, we don't like Brian's hat. Just comment on something.
Wow.
All right, so you got a comment for us.
Cricket or something? All right, so this is from the Sixth Sense Samson reaction. So those of you who watched it the previous Music Monday, it wasn't on a Monday though. Sorry about that.
Right. But yesterday's was.
Yeah. So this was his song that was mainly about, or he had lots of scenes from the January 6th insurrection. So Gen X here says, so he's in our generation, which makes sense here. He says, funny part, I have watched hours of videos and I have seen better riots at a rival football in high school than January 6th. Yes. Yes, indeed, Gen X. Give us a video next time. That'll be good. So
That's true, though.
yeah, 2 hours. It lasted, what, 2 hours maybe?
2 hours. Yeah.
Nobody brought weapons. There was some, as Cedric would say, tomfoolery.
Yes.
And it did get kind of violent at some points, and we don't condone what happened on January 6th. But for the media to blow it up the way they did after ignoring all of the fires and the shooting and the killings and the actually taking over cities during the summer of 2020, it's just the height of hypocrisy.
Yep. And our vice president comparing it to Pearl Harbor and 9/11. It's like, what are you watching?
They're just going to keep rolling this out. Just wait till the election comes.
Oh, it's incredible. All right, guys. If you guys didn't notice, we took a little time off last week. I think we were both just burned out.
We need to stretch a little bit.
Yes, we were both a little burned out. Sorry about that, but we needed to recharge the battery a little bit. But we're ready to hit the ground running again. Thank you for sticking with us. Keep promoting our channel and others like us. Not just us, but we need to keep getting the word out there.
But mainly us.
Mainly us. So with that being said, make sure you like, subscribe, ring that bell, and continue sharing our channel with everyone you know, because YouTube hates that. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. We'll see you later.